here to talk to you a little bit about the two assignments that you have this week in Essential Elements Interactive. The first one being number 75, 2x2. In 2x2, this is the first time that we've seen the time signature 2-4, which means that there are only 2 beats in every measure as opposed to the 4 beats that we're used to seeing. So when I count this rhythm out loud, if I'm practicing, I would only count to 2 in every measure as opposed to counting to 4. So I'm actually going to go ahead and count this rhythm for you, and I would recommend that you follow along. I'm going to count from the beginning of number 75. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, and 2, and 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, and 2, and 1. The next step you might want to do on your own at home is to say the note names out loud in rhythm. The notes are actually pretty easy in this one. I think this is more of a rhythm song and to introduce you into the 2-4 time signature. So the notes are pretty much all D string notes except for the A's that we have in there, but it should be pretty easy to put together. So after you count your rhythm and say your note names out loud, then you might want to go on to the Essential Elements Interactive and play along with the backing track. You're welcome to mess around with any of the backing tracks. I'm going to go ahead and put one on. I'm just going to have the piano on, and I'm going to keep the melody on. I think that's what the melody just is automatically on. And I'm going to go ahead and play that. I'm going to pizzicato along with the recording. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it in the background, but the next step you might take is to shadow bow. But I'm going to go ahead and play along right with the melody. I'm keeping the melody on because I'm still practicing, but I'm going to play along with it. So when you're practicing at home, I would really recommend that you practice along with the melody playing. And what I'm talking about is when you click on where it says accomp, which is short for accompaniment, you can uncheck or check mark the melody so that it actually plays your part. When you are recording because you're ready to submit to your teacher, then please uncheck the melody so that we can hear you better, because when the melody is playing, it covers you up and it's hard for us to tell what's you and what's the recording. All right, now I'm going to look at number 76. This one also introduces a new concept, which is the first and second endings. So we've had repeat signs before, and so as you can see on the second line, almost to the end, not the very end, but 2 measures before the end, there's 2 measures with a 1 and a little bracket above it. That is the first ending. So when we play, you'll go from the beginning, and then you'll play that first ending, and then you'll see the repeat sign. We go back to the beginning. And when we play it the second time, when we're playing on the repeat, we take the second ending. So you only play the first ending the first time, and you only play the second ending the second time. You'll never play both endings at the same time. They're kind of like, I like to think of them, the second ending as like an alternate ending. So if you've ever watched a movie and looked at the special features or something on the DVD or the Blu-ray or whatever, sometimes they have an alternate ending to a movie where maybe in the original version of the movie everybody dies at the end, and then in the alternate ending they wanted to make it happier and so everybody lives. But it doesn't make sense to have both endings. Like, you can't just tack on that alternate ending to the end so that the movie goes and then everybody dies and then everybody lives. It doesn't make sense. You do one or the other. So that's the same thing with these first and second endings. You do one or the other. So the first ending the first time, the second ending the second time. It can be kind of confusing the second time because you have to skip over the first ending. Your eyes have to move ahead a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and count this rhythm also. It's again in 2/4, so you won't hear me saying any 3s or 4s, only 1 and 2. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and count this, and I recommend that you follow along. Ready, count. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and 1. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and 1. 1, 2, second line. 1, 2, 1, and 2, and 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. This is the first ending. 1, 2, and 1. Now back to the beginning. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and 1. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and 1. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, and 2, and 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Now skip second ending. 1 and 2 and 1. So hopefully that makes sense. Again, I'm just going to say one more time that the first time we play all the way until the repeat sign. Then we repeat back to the beginning. The second time we play all the first line, play most of the second line, but when we get to where it says first time, we skip those 2 measures. We erase them when we jump over to the second ending. So just like on 75, I would recommend that the next step you take is to say your note names out loud. This one has a lot more notes. It's a lot more challenging than number 75. It has all of the notes that are in our D major scale. So D string notes, A string notes, basses are going to have to do shifting all the way up to that high D, C sharp and high D up in position. So, say note names, silent finger, shadow bow, pizzicato, all that stuff. I'm going to go ahead and play it with the recording, so just so you can hear somebody playing it. But when you're practicing at home, really take all of those steps to learn this. But I'm going to go ahead and play this for you. I might just keep it on with the metronome and the melody turned on. One thing I just remembered that I wanted to tell you guys before I started, but now I'm going to tell you now, is to make sure that you're tuning your instruments. Some of you, when I was listening to your recordings from last week, it sounded like your instruments were not quite in tune. They weren't way out of tune that you couldn't do it on your own, but make sure that you are checking your tuning. It's been a while since we've had class, so if you're not in the habit of checking your tuning every time you practice, that's okay, but at least, maybe once a week, double check your tuning. So that because it sounds weird when you play along with the accompaniment if you don't match it perfectly. Please let us know if you have any questions and have fun.